Little Walter's My Babe in the hands of my guest today, Ricky Nelson, or Rick Nelson. It's kind of hard to say Rick Nelson 1 minute and Ricky.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
You don't care about that.
I fit about 3 or 4 names, you know.
Great. Well, let me say straight away, I love that version. There's many rock and roll versions of My Babe, rockabilly versions, R&B versions. That's great.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. I enjoy it. It was kind of a different rhythm thing that we got going on that, you know.
Yeah. How would you approach a session if you wanted to achieve an arrangement that you had there, like a shuffly kind of thing? Would you sit down and tell the guys just what you wanted, or just bounce the thing backwards and forwards?
No. We'd go in and the way we would record it, just kind of get together and and start playing a song until it felt right, you know, and then record it.
Just hire a rehearsal room somewhere downtown.
Yeah, or in a recording studio, you know.
Just ahead of the red light.
That's how we recorded everything. I mean, because nobody could read music, you know, and so we could just chord changes and things like that, and just run a song over until it sounded right, you know.
After the first couple of hits were well secured on the top 10 in the States and around the world for that matter, along comes what essentially is going to be your band for quite a few years. There's a fair story that kicks around rock and roll circles, a favourite story about you seeing Bob Luman rehearsing somewhere, and he had a band, and you just said that's the kind of band, or that is in fact the band I want. Is that exactly what happened?
That is exactly what happened. I was, in fact, I was up in Lou Chudd's office. He owned he owned Imperial Records, and that's when I had just signed with Imperial, you know, and I was really out looking for a band, you know, and all of a sudden I heard this music down the hall, and it was Bob Luman. They'd just come up from the Louisiana Hayride, and he was like auditioning, you know, for Imperial, and with James Burton and James Kirkland, you know, playing bass. And I thought, now that's the kind of band, that's exactly what I want, you know. And so, I went down there and I got to know them, you know, and we'd all hang out together and stuff, because, you know, I was really interested in exactly what they were doing, you know. And it became, through knowing those people, I got like Gene Vincent and people and Eddie Cochran and things. We were all real good friends, and there was just kind of like a handful of people that we'd always used to hang out together and kind of bounce mature songs off and try to outdo the other guy, things like that. It was really kind of an experimental time as far as rock and roll goes, because it was really the beginnings of all that, you know. But that's how a lot of material would come by. There was no set way of doing anything, you know. It was just, everything was kind of a mystery at that time. Everybody, they didn't know how a certain echo was, how you got that echo on a record or things like that, you know, which now everybody knows, pretty much exactly how you did do things, you know.
One of the strongest things you're hinting at there that fed you very well was a rich source of material from all sides. You wrote yourself, even some of the band wrote, and you were getting songs from young, outside aspiring people like the Burnett brothers. Now tell me about them. How did you...
Well, I was driving home from the studio from filming one night, and all of a sudden this car pulled up behind me as I was going in the driveway, and they got out of their car, and we all got out of the car, and I thought, wait a minute, what is this, you know? And they ran back and opened up the trunk of the car and brought out their guitars, started playing, and they had just driven out from Tennessee, Johnny and Dorsey, and they started playing, like Waiting in School and all these songs to me, and I thought, this is great, and so they went down, they cut a demo record, and of course, needless to say, I got to know them real well too,
Had you previously been aware of their work as the rock and roll trio doing rockabilly, fun enough, in Nashville and Memphis and so on?
Not really, not much, not before that, huh? No, I didn't. They worked a lot around Los Angeles, and moved out in the area, and that's when I got to know them. But I didn't really know much about them before that,
And Sharon Shealy, she kicked off her career as a writer with Poor Little Fool. How did that one come your way?
I had met Sharon, it was at the beach or something, and I knew her from that, and she lived down at the beach, and all of a sudden she just kind of would hang out, and then she knew all the, the band and guys like that, and all of a sudden she brought this song over, and we were rehearsing, and she asked us if we'd go over the song and stuff, and so we kind of worked up an arrangement, and I ended up putting it on an album. And at that time, single records were the big thing, and albums were very secondary,
right.
And So I put it on the album, and all of a sudden they started playing it from the album, and it was like starting to do something just from the album. And I always thought, they had to talk me into releasing it as a single, really, because I thought, well, that'll be a cheat because it's on the album, and because we used to record a lot of things separately from albums then, and so anyway, released the song and it did well.